Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching The Vuyo Show. We're coming to you, of course, from New York City, and I am your favorite global darling, Vuyo Jamoda. I've got a very special guest joining me on the show today. We're chatting music, fashion, and everything in between. So I hope that you're ready to receive what we have in store for you today. Just so sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes together with myself and musician and superstar, ladies and gents, the one and only Paris. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. So happy to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying in the intro, there's so many things that, we're going to be talking about fashion and music and everything in between. But there's so much about you that we'd like to learn more about. And I think our audience as well. Maybe someone has heard your music and is like, I want to know more about him and I want to learn more about him. So we're going to be unpacking all of that on the show today. But I know that you traveled a little bit of a far long way to be here with us today. Where are you from and how long did it take you to get here?
So I'm from upstate New York, up by Buffalo, a little native reservation. It's called Salamanca. No one knows how to spell it. No one knows about it. It's like really small. But I live in Maine right now. So it was about 6 hours to get here.
Yeah.
It was a nice little trip.
Nice little trip. A nice little trip to a very fabulous location in New York City, right?
Yeah. New York is one of the best cities. I love it every time I come here.
I love it. I love it. So how did you find yourself in the world of music? I mean, you said you're from Buffalo, right? Does that city incorporate a lot of music, or what led you and brought you into this space?
Kind of, but so it was really tough for me growing up. Like, I was probably like one of two black kids in my school. Like, a lot of Native Americans, white kids. Like, the music was like rock, indie, country, and then my parents are like black and Puerto Rican, so the vibes were really different, and it was a melting pot. So I used music as kind of the avenue of expressing myself and really telling people how I felt. Because as a kid, when you say your problems, people are like, oh, he doesn't know anything. He's just a kid. So I used music to really form a message of like, this is who I am, this is how I feel, and this is what's going on.
Yeah. You're saying that there was a bit of a melting pot at home, which I guess in and of itself enables you to understand what variety looks like, what inclusion and diversity looks like. Would you say that's something that has informed the music that you do, that kind of really plays into how you even go about sharing music?
Yeah, I try to, whenever I'm making music, I try to like be at least culturally sensitive about what I'm putting out, how I'm putting it out, and just really taking everybody's aspect into consideration, because like music is something that's so global. It doesn't have to be a language. We could hear something in Chinese, and I don't know a word of Chinese, but if it sounds good, it sounds good. So I try to be just really sensitive and really think about the audience when I'm creating.
Yeah. Speaking of Chinese, I remember there was a song called Oppa Gangnam Style. Remember that? And that like broke YouTube records, right? It's the most streamed song ever. So as you say, none of us know what Oppa Gangnam Style means, but we were out here, dancing along. So I love that sentiment that you're sharing about music. And where does the Paris heart come from? Is that your actual name, or is there a story behind that as well?
So I used to go by a different name, and then I was starting to do good in music, and the other artist, there was another artist that went by that name, and he sent our team a cease and desist. Ooh. Yeah, so we were like, nope, we're avoiding it. So I did what I thought any artist should do, and I made a diss song towards him. Just as big of a diss as I could. And
Look at you.
And then I just switched my name. I was like, okay, I'm done with it.
Okay.
Chapter closed. Now I could close it up. So just one night I was driving, and I was like, what am I? What am I trying to represent? And Paris Heart just rang, and I just ran with it.
So would you say, I mean, Paris is an exemplary and a representation of what maybe many people believe of love. It's a city of love. It's a city of everyone's maybe planned honeymoon destination, because we all love Paris. Would you say that's why was that the correlation, or is there another significant thing about Paris for you?
It was a big part of it was the love. So my brother, he put me on to everything cultural about Paris and how to speak French and everything. He really loves it. So then when he was telling me about it, that resonated with me as just the heart of like the love in the heart. Like, that's really what we want to bring with our music, and like with our platform, with what we do for like management and our social media, it tries to be positive. Like there's so easy to go online and find negativity that if you could just be a little ounce of positive in someone's day, that could make the biggest difference.
Yeah, if you can have some love and pour your heart as well, which is the second syllable to your name, right? I love that. I love that. And I think there's so much to explore. And you said there's a lot more negativity on social media. But we're always looking out for the good, especially at least on this show. We're always looking out for the good to say what good is there out there that we can celebrate. And I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible to celebrate. What did growing up look like for you? Were you the child who likes to perform on stage at school? Were you the kid with the roll on and the little mic remote at home singing for your family and you're in the mirror? Like what kind of kid were you with relation to music?
With my family and with my friends, I would always be singing, I would be dancing, I would be the loudest kid in the room. And then when I got around a group of people that I didn't know, I'd just be quiet. I'd just sit there in the corner and just observe everything. So doing music was kind of hard transitioning of like, okay, now people publicly have to hear me and give their opinion of like who I am in this little shell.
Yeah.
And over time it got more comfortable, but growing up it was kind of hard to switch that.
Yeah. So you were kind of more introverted to some degree, but you allowed music to be your expression, your form of expression. And at what age did you start to acknowledge that you can sing? When did you start realizing that I have a talent and I can sing and should maybe explore this?
So I always, from a young age, like from middle school, I always liked poetry. So I'd write poetry, and I had a big journal where I would just write. Every single day I'd write. And then just growing up, I had some friends say, have you thought about making music? And I'm like, no, I haven't thought about letting the world hear what I think. Like, who cares? And then over time, it just hindered and bothered me. And I was like, I should. What if someone hears it and likes it?
Yeah.
And I just went head in.
And who were you listening to at the time that was an inspiration to you? Because that also helps us kind of get an idea and a framework of what led you to the music decisions that you make as well, from what inspired you as well.
So growing up, I listened to a lot of like Jimi Hendrix, Goo Goo Dolls, like AC/DC. And then when I went home with my dad, I listened to like Akon was dropping at that time, 50 was dropping, and like all the rap songs that were kind of big, my dad would just always play them. So I kind of listened to all of that growing up.
I see. So you were multi-versed in your music style. And then the decision to be an artist, I'm sure a lot of people can say, I can sing, I can dance, I've got talent, but I'm never going to explore it as a career, as something that I'm looking into doing as work. So what led you to that decision to decide that I want to be an artist, I want to be a superstar, I want the world to recognize what I do? What was happening in your life in that time frame when you made that decision?
So at first, I was really arrogant. I was like, I want to do the music, I want the fame, I want the money, the lifestyle, I want all of it. But then over time, I really just loved music. And I would like to say that the passion is just the experiences of meeting the people and like, just events like this, and this is where it really matters, like pouring your music, pouring the message into it, and just letting people know, like, I might feel like this at home. Like, maybe I saw someone do something I didn't like, and I didn't confront it, and that bothers me. Well, like, in my song, I'm going to put it, so if someone else out there is listening to this song, they're like, it's okay to do the right thing, even if I get laughed at or even if people feel some type of way. The right thing matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. And what is how do you go about describing your music right now? What's your music style? I know I heard you earlier on before we started. You were like telling Marcus your music. I was like, don't say it. I want to say it on the show. So share with us your music genre, what your style is, what kind of mood and feeling do you want someone listening to it to feel?
So I had trouble describing this, but ChatGPT said I'm indie pop, so I'm just
We love ChatGPT. We're here for ChatGPT.
I'm gonna go with that.
Indie pop.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you even prompt ChatGPT? Do you play the song and then?
I asked it. I was like, for the artist Paris Hart, how would you describe their music?
Oh, third person vibes. I see it. Okay. Well, we'll trust ChatGPT. So indie pop, and that's something that you can then resonate with. You agree. You're verifying the source, right? You're saying, yeah. That's amazing. What's the process to then like creating the music? Do you write the own songs? Do you produce, or do you get a team around you? So share with us the journey and the process to kind of putting together music for you?
So I'll get a producer and they'll just send me a bunch of beats. And like whoever's out there listening, all producers send me beats. I'm open to listen to all of them.
Yeah.
So they'll send them and I'll write. And then I'll stop writing if it gets hard, if it gets difficult. And then I'll put it on the shelf. And then when I'm in the mood again, I'll pick it back up and then I'll start doing it again. Because I've learned, like, if you're not having fun writing it, people aren't going to have fun listening to it. So just, you have to enjoy the process and really, like, if it gets hard, take a break. Like, there's no pressure, no rush. We're on our own time. Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And what's the one song that you put out that you'd say that you definitely kind of went to pour out your heart while creating it, and you're so content with the final product, and that the audience is kind of receiving and loving right now?
So Social Disconnect, that's like my rawest album. I come at a lot of people. Like, it was just a young me just going off on everything, saying, I'm mad at my mom for doing this, my brother at this, my community for doing this. Like, it was really just, like frustration. Just I wanted to pour out. So a lot of those songs have like the truest of, like, they really resonate with people, because even my parents are like, oh, in that one song you said, in that song you said, and I'm like,
Yeah, and so they're like, you're talking to me, weren't you? Talking about me to the world. That is so, I mean, that's what being an artist is, right? It is about expressing, and they say that artists are very sensitive people. Because you just, you share everything that is in your heart, and whatever that looks like, you put it out into the world. And some people might feel some type of way about it. And how do you go about connecting with your audience? Do you have like a community for your, what do you call them, the hearties or the Paris? Like, what do you have a community?
I like that. I think we should roll with that.
Oh,
I like
really?
the Hardies. Yeah. Everyone out there, we're officially the Hardies. Oh, yeah, I love everyone that comes and supports. Like, we're really interactive with everyone that comes and checks out our page. Like, there's so many artists out there. So whenever they have a chance to just see my stuff and stop and say something or follow, it's like we always try to give back. Even at our shows, like at each of our shows, we give something away. We have a show on Friday at Gold Sounds in Brooklyn.
Oh, nice.
And we're giving away an iPhone 13. Like, all of our shows, we just really try to give back to the community, because if they didn't listen, if they didn't stream, then no artist would be anything.
Yeah.
So we give back.
So that sounds exciting, having you perform on stage. So a big part of what I've seen from your artistry as well is not just music, but you're very self-expressionate and just in general. I see you rocking a very cool fit today. I mean, when we talk about fashion, y'all, this is Fashion Week, and when he walked in, I was like, yep, he's at the right time, in the right place during Fashion Week. So how do you go about expressing yourself from a fashion point of view as well? How do you make sure that you have your identity as an artist still portrayed through the fashion that you wear and that you put out, etc.?
So fashion is like, growing up, that was my mom's thing. I swear she should have been a designer, because she was picking out the clothes, saying this goes with that, and being like, Marquis, like, or Paris, Paris, if you don't wear the right clothes, like, the girls are gonna make fun of you. Like, she was really fun and joking with it, and that just really opened my heart to fashion. And even till this day, like, we have Nocturnal Nomads, that's our little brand, and my mom would even come on board and design with the team for some of this stuff too. So we try to keep everything like real grassroots and real supportive community based.
I love that. I think being an artist and having a kind of fashion aesthetic is also something that's amazing to be identifiable among the crowd, right? Among the artistry crowd. Do you have a terminology to describe your fashion? Is there, or you just like, I wear what I like?
I'm messy with it. I throw it on. I think it looks good.
I love that. That means that you're then a creative in that sense as well. What is your brand? You said it's
Nocturnal Nomads.
Nocturnal Nomads. Share a little bit about why the decision to start a brand to kind of go alongside the music, and how that's been going thus far.
So it's really just expressing like ourselves, and another way to communicate and like interact with the listeners, because I mean they'll see the songs and they're like, kind of like we were saying, like, who is Paris Hart? Like, what does he do? So the clothing brand is a mission statement of like, we're nocturnal nomads. We're up at night. We're wandering. Like, that's a lot of times when we have our craziest thoughts. Like, I know for me, for any time from 10 p.m. till like 4 a.m. I'm just thinking, I'm pacing.
Yeah.
I might have to go for a walk because I don't know what to write. So if anyone's lost, like if anyone needs a home, like we try to make Nocturnal Nomads the home. Even like with our ambassadors, it doesn't matter if you have 1 follower or 10,000 followers. All people that want to be ambassadors, we want to give them like a sense of community and a place to really just vibe out and be accepted.
You mentioned the word community, and I think it's the second time you mentioned that word in this conversation, which I think is such an important thing. Why are you in kind of, doing the work of gathering a community around you? What does the community mean to you as an artist?
So there were some times in my life where I was really, really, really low and didn't have like anyone to really turn to. I was like, my family might have been doing something and just friends weren't available. And there was some times where I was like, till like the end's wits, like, what do I do? What should I do? Like stressing out. So going through that, a big statement, like a big mission of mine is like using social media and the platforms that we have to just tell people like, look, if you're ever feeling that way, like there's always someone out there that cares. Like Tupac said, if no one cares, like just know I care. Like that's really the vibe that we want to have of like, we care. We want to, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what background you come from. There's always light at the end. Yeah.
And we all can communally be part of something that has some love and has a bit of heart and a bit of, everything in between, which is amazing. So where are you right now as an artist? What's happening at the moment? Where are you from an artistic point of view? And what are you looking forward to doing as well going forward?
So we have a song coming out called Gnarly the 13th. And then at the middle of October, we have like a spookier vibe EP coming out called Search for Me. So we're excited about that, and we're going to announce soon on social media that I'm going to be spotlighting a festival too. So we have some big things coming out, and I'm really just trying to prep and make sure that I'm on my A game for it.
Yeah. And what does that look like for you? How do you do you go to rehearsals? Like, what is the preparation? So you're performing on Friday in Brooklyn. Tell us about the prep for that, so we can have an idea and get into your world a little bit more to understanding how you go about doing that.
So for me, I'm like really anxious. I don't even let anybody listen when I'm performing.
Really?
So I'll go on a walk with the dogs. I'll turn my phone off, and then I'll just mute the world. And then I'll come back to the house and I'll say, phew, okay, now it's time to perform. And I'll just put myself in my own room, whichever room's available, just lock all doors and just go sing. And then when I'll be done, I'll leave and I'll act like nothing happened. Go back to regular me.
I love that. And if I may ask, did you get any training in music, or it's like an innate talent, or did you go about and train and
So it was just something. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I watched a lot of tutorials on how to sing, what you should do, and I would listen. If any song came out I liked, I would turn the radio up as loud as it could go and just try matching their notes.
Wow.
So I didn't have any formal training, but it was like, YouTube's there. Everyone should use YouTube for anything you're trying.
And also, I guess it also is a natural talent to that degree then. If it is something that, you are able to still be able to do on your own, means that it's something that you have innately as a talent within you. So we're expecting, you said a song or an EP?
Yep.
A song that's coming out soon, a single that's coming out. We're expect anything from a fashion point of view, any more designs coming out? What can we expect in that field?
So we released all of our spooky vibes, fall vibes. We're going to be dropping next month. In the middle of next month, we're going to be dropping our more November vibes and some of our December vibes. So get ready for a lot of the Christmas gear, a lot of the fall gear, and just good vibes.
What is remind me once again of the city that you're from. What are they saying in reaction to the stardom of you coming out? What is the reception from back home?
I've been getting some mixed reviews. Some people are like, wow, like, I didn't know this was you. You didn't talk that much to me growing up. So we would have been good friends. And some people are like, ugh, like, it's him again. Like, ugh, I'm done with him.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty fun to go back home and kind of talk to the people and kind of just help people out, because some people back home want to be musicians. So any fruitful advice I could give, I just try to lead people down the right direction. Because, I mean, in entertainment, there's no real, like, game plan or solid thing of, like, how you should do it. It's all word of mouth and connections and really just being a good person. So I try to go back home and really just pour into the community any bit that I can.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's all love. It's all love that you're getting. But also another thing about being an artist, and you're mentioning about the industry in general, is that it can be tough in and of its own. There can be challenges that come along the way. How do you keep yourself, inspired and motivated? Because it can be very demotivating if you don't get the amount of streams that you were hoping, or a recognition in a certain element. So how do you keep yourself going? How do you keep pushing and keep going along the way? What keeps you going?
I'll give everyone an example. So last month, there was this company that I really wanted to work with, and they put me on the phone with their CEO. I was so happy. And on the phone call, he said, yeah, your TikTok numbers aren't good. This isn't good. And really just kind of delved into me. And, a younger me would have said, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with you again. But, like, in this world, you got to kind of take those things with a grain of salt. And, take a second to just back away from the situation. Take a deep breath and remember, like, okay, tomorrow's gonna come. This might not have went how we wanted it to go, but another opportunity is gonna come if we keep working. And then over time, you just make the right connections, make the right opportunities, meet the right people, and then you meet people like you who are good, happy people, and then just like you, and then you get a friendship or you get a collaboration, and then in the future, the community just keeps building like that.
Yeah, and you just never know. You just gotta keep going. You said earlier, which is something that I absolutely loved. There's like no formula to this. Like there's no set way. How one succeeds is not the same way as how someone else succeeded. So you just keep doing the way that you know until you get to the point where you wanna be at. And what's your ultimate one thing that you'll be like, you know what, I would love to get this? Is it like a VMA? Is it like, having your song on a Grammy award-winning album or in an Oscar award-winning film? Like, what's your big, or maybe singing at a festival at, I don't know, in the middle of Ibiza? Like, what's your one thing that you look forward to the most about being in this industry?
The two biggest things I want is just a big festival performance, like to headline something crazy, just to see the crowd going crazy would be...
I can see at Coachella.
Oh, that would be perfect.
That'll be nice.
We'll speak that into fruition.
Coachella, y'all are listening.
For real.
Okay, a festival, yeah.
And besides a festival, I would love to just have one of those, like, those funny commercials, like a toothbrush commercial, or like something that's really funny that I could be kind of me and, have fun with it, be goofy, and just make a cool commercial.
I see. So it's more performances and also more of expressing of yourself to the public. I love that. I am gonna be, if there's any way we can champion and vote for you to be at Coachella, then or any of these amazing grand festivals for you to perform at. I'm looking so forward to seeing you. I was with us on the show because I want to hear your music, and I just love to just see you doing your thing. But as we're saying, there's a lot more coming into the future that I'm looking so much forward to, and I'm sure our audiences now are like, oh, we want to see a lot more Paris on the show. Like, his energy is amazing and the vibe is great. So we're looking for. So how do people support you? How do people come through, and where do they find your music? How do we go about doing that?
So I'm Paris Hart Official on all platforms. Paris, H-E-A-R-T, not H-A-R-T. Paris Hart Official. And then on Spotify, Apple Music is Paris Hart too.
Yeah, let's go stream. It doesn't even cost you that much or that much time. Just go on and stream the music and tell your friend to stream and tell their friend to stream. The more streams you have, the better, right? That's what we want. So let's go out and support Paris Hart, ladies and gent. As you saw, there's so much vibe and energy in the studio, and we want to pour that onto you as well. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the Vuyo Show. We hope that you enjoyed all of that. Paris, before I say goodbye, do you have anything you want to put on the table, anything you want to say? Make sure that I don't want to let you leave without saying it.
I just want to say two things. First and foremost, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. It's so fun. And, people need to show their media the support and love that they deserve, because without y'all, no musicians will be coming out. Nobody will be doing anything. Like, we would just be people singing in our closets. So I got to give a thank you for you, for having me, and for everything that you're doing, because it is amazing.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming. I mean, I love chatting to other goofy people like myself because I'm also goofy. So I was just like, let's be goofy together. So thank you so much for joining. And thank you at home for tuning in. This is the Vuyo Show. With so much love from myself and Paris Heart, it's goodbye and have a fantastic one. Cheers for now.